Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Prague. So I have a pleasure of welcoming Jan Urbanec, CEO of Endorfina, Jan Holub, Compliance Manager from Fortuna, Czech Republic, and Petr Kozak, General Secretary of the Institute for Regulation of Gambling Games. My name is Robert Skalina. I'm from WH Partners. I'm a lawyer. So when we met here last year, it was shortly after a biggest change to the gambling laws in Czech Republic came into force in January 2024, and none of us knew how those changes will be implemented in practice, whether it was positive or more negative. So this is a good opportunity to go through some of the major changes and assess how it all played out. So I would start with probably the most anticipated change, that was the introduction of the live dealer games, which were not allowed until January 2024, and which became allowed by the change. So Petr, maybe you can tell us something about the challenges of operating those live dealer games, and whether it's whether it was already implemented by operators and how it's going.
Yes. Okay. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be here again. And so I thank Robert for the introduction. And I would start if we talk about the live dealer games, especially. We can say in the Czech Republic it was like great expectations, and then around like 100 meters hurdles or something like this, because great expectations met a lot of obstacles coming up from the new legislation. I think we have already touched this topic last year, because it was the beginning of implementation of this new gambling act, or like a big amendment, which was like we found out, or the Ministry of Finance found out like a special Czech way of how to implement live dealer games into the Czech market. So that was like the connection with land-based casinos and land-based premises, which now is making, I think for most of the operators, at least a big uncertainty. Yeah, it's like you never know if you will be able to operate after 1 month or half a year or something. That's because the regulation of these land-based premises, even you are operating from the studio only online games, but still they are regulated by the municipalities. And the municipality has the right to say, yes, we are going to issue a decree which says no gambling on the premises of our municipality, and it takes also the live dealer games, because the live casino must be in the land-based premises. So you never know. You invest. There are like millions, billions crowns like to build a big studio, especially when we talk about Prague, for example. Now there is a decree which is under the I think the constitutional court. There is Prague against the Ministry of Interior, I think, and we are all waiting how it will be. So this is like big uncertainty in this. And the other things are like, yes, most of the operators who wanted to start with the live dealer already operate, and it was like successful story. Yeah. The big issue is when you talk about the operators and the suppliers, is to find people who will do the live dealers, because maybe it's not a dream job, but on the other hand, you are still safe, you are in cold, warm and dry place and so on, but it's different. And the beginnings were quite ridiculous sometimes, or very funny to look at. I think the things get better. There are situations like, for example, because in the Czech regulation there is no possibility to use mechanical, like shufflers. Yeah. So the dealer himself must shuffle the cards, so it takes like at least 7 minutes of nothing during when before the
It's
games start.
exciting to watch, right?
Yeah. So you are, if you want to stay on this stream, you just watch for 10 minutes someone who is shuffling the cards manually. So, and these are like the things that make the Czech live dealer games really unique in the world, I think.
Yes, and these are the things, right? Sometimes when the regulator thinks how to channel the players, right, to regulator operators, where it doesn't think about those issues, right, actually can indirectly force the players, right, to go to unlicensed operators because it's a much better product, and the local operators are simply not able to compete.
That's true. Yes, it is.
Jan, maybe you can tell us something how you see live dealer games from the perspective of suppliers and operators.
Sure. I wish I had a live dealer studio with Endorfina here. We actually explored this opportunity, but the moment we understood that most of the operational part is actually compliance and legal, we threw the idea out of the window, even though locally we would be able, with good connections, to put this together. However, I see this as a very good step forward for the Czech regulation, because it means it's an active regulation that doesn't focus only on suppression. So yes, there were some very unpleasant things in the new law that nobody was happy from the industry, but on the other hand, you get something in return. If I look at the global markets, most of the time you feel as an operator or a game provider that somebody keeps stepping on your neck all the time. You know, the Czech regulator step on your neck, but he lets you breathe a little bit. You know? So I've seen worse, if I may say. But my position as a game provider, it tells me if this product is accepted, well, the next product will be accepted. So what are we talking about right now? In the, let's say, gray or .com markets still, and even in some regulated markets, you have crash games going up, very popular. Right now, there is several operators talking to the ministry, trying to figure out how to put the crash games into the Czech legislation and somehow comply, because there is a lot of very small and critical details that are required for this. Now, again, if this keeps going, it means there is a dialogue, and in my head, a dialogue always wins, instead of getting an email from a regulator that tells you, this is forbidden, move on. So my feeling is, yes, there have been like headaches that you described. There is the risk of the combination of land-based and online, which I completely consider like a big mistake, as well as you do. But it's a process. So I feel like the Czech market is evolving, and like Zoltán mentioned, 9 years. I remember 9 years ago, we thought there is nothing, everything is wrong, and now we understand that there is some history, and then we can build on top of that history.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a small, I don't think the combination, like live dealer and the land base, it's a mistake on itself, but the regulation by the municipalities, that makes the problem maybe.
Thank you. One of the other big changes was the regulator trying to protect the players more and introducing some player protection mechanism. Maybe Jan from Fortuna can tell us a bit about that and how the implementation of these things went in the practice.
The intention of the Ministry of Finance was really to protect the players and to implement into the new Gambling Act some mechanism that will really help the player to prevent from gambling or to smart how to gamble. Before I will start talking about the panic button, which was like the biggest changes in the gambling end itself, maybe I will briefly mention that also the responsible gaming limits and the logic was also the significant part of the Gambling Act, which was influenced by the amendment, and there is completely new logic how to calculate the responsible gambling limits. So players betterly have a longer period for which each limits, especially monthlies, are valid. Now I will move on to the panic button. Panic button was among the very first phase of gambling regulation that was affected very soon, prior from the 1st July 2024. So if you imagine that the effectiveness of the Gaming Act was the 1st January 24, there was a quite close space till all the operators have to adopt to a new legislation and have to develop and implement the panic button.
Sorry to interrupt. Especially, right, most of the operators and no one in the market knew exactly how the act will look like at the end, because it was adopted such a short while ago before it became even effective, right?
Yes, exactly, because it was pretty tough, I would say, to fit into the expectations of the Ministry of Finance how the panic button should like and how the panic button should work. Now the authorities, especially Custom Office, are trying to narrow down the situation, but I believe most of operators successfully implemented the panic button. And how the panic button works. The panic button should be visible and accessible for all time. So the expectation of the Ministry of Finance is that the panic buttons will flow somewhere on the desktop or within the mobile app. And when you scroll down, all the time the panic button is accessible for the usage. The panic button excludes you for 48 hours, which means that you are properly listed or registered into register of excluded person, which is an official register of the Czech Republic, where basically some peoples are registered by the law, and some clients, some people are registered by their own. And it was challenging. Yes.
So it means that it's not only that the player cannot play with the specific operators, but he cannot play with any other operators.
Yes, exactly. When you push or press the panic button, you are immediately registered into register of excluded person, and then you are excluded across all the licensed operators in Czech Republic. There are also further consequences, because the expectation of the ministry was not only to exclude players for 48 hours, but also to offer them the possibility to register properly into register of excluded person, and the possibility to withdraw yourself is there is a period, the minimum 1 year. So if you basically register by yourself into the register of excluded person, you are basically not able to play at all licensed operators in Czech Republic for a minimum of 1 year. Then we can maybe mention that also the register of excluded person, now it is possible to register directly from the operators, which is something that is really good for the players. That is not necessary to fill some official letter and send it to ministry, because operator has all the necessary data in place and are able basically to send the request to ministry online in a few ways. There is one pain point that it's also required that ministry will confirm to a physical person, to a client, that he was successfully registered in RVO. Till the time when you received such notification, you are not able to play with the operator you basically put the request for RVO.
Thank you. Maybe you could briefly also mention about the changes of regulation of risk bonuses, right?
Risk bonuses was also the part how to protect the minors or how to protect the players that are risky from the RG perspective. The risk bonus itself are not incorporated into Gambling Act, but also there is a decree on the operation of gambling in Czech Republic, and such risk bonuses are basically detailed there. There are three pillars, three topics of three parts of the how to or what kind of bonuses are forbidden. The first one is that it's completely forbidden to offer any kind of bonus after the client requests the termination. Then additionally, some of the operators here in Czech Republic may volunteer on the situation that in case that the client is in RVO, but it's not formally the termination, they are not bonusing them as well, because that is something that is in contradictory comparison to some like problems or potential risky behavior. Also, there were a significant change considering that and I will say it in general, that the casino tournaments, it's for sure affected also the provider side, and maybe Jan will comment it from the provider side. There is like forbidden of the tournaments, but we can see that the situation, operators are trying to find the smart way how to leave the tournament as it was, but the ministry's expectation is that there are no tournaments or comparing stake amount, winning amount, or the frequency of the playing. So there is a trend that the operators are trying to make the tournaments based on the multiplicator, because there is like no need to have some higher amount of the stake, no need to win a million, but the multiplicator is the key.
Thank you. Because of the lack of time, the last theme that I would like to cover from the changes in the Gambling Act was the change of scope of gambling with respect to what constitutes basically gambling in the territory of Czech Republic. That there is no requirement basically for an operator to target specifically Czech players in order to be considered to operate in the Czech Republic. And the change of mechanism how to put unlicensed operators on a blacklist. Maybe, Petr, you can mention if it helped with the fight with illegal gambling?
Yeah, we can say it helped. And the numbers, if we compare the years before to the numbers of the last year, yes, the blacklisted websites of illegal operators in the Czech Republic is growing up. On the other hand, it's very easy to create on a mirror page. It takes like 1 minute maybe, and the processes of blacklisting of the website is like for still there is a very the process is complicated with the ingredients of the customs administration, because they have first to say like, yes, it's illegal content, and then the ministry is making the blocking itself. So it's still like a few months, 3 months to half a year, and comparing to create a new mirror page. But yes, it helped. And what especially helped was the possibility to block also the illegal advertising website, or the illegal, so to say, every page which leads the players or the public into the illegal websites. So
the affiliate sites.
Yes, illegal affiliate websites. Yes. So it helped, but still, now we can see a huge amount of different apps and different ways how to get the illegal content to the players in the Czech Republic. There are a lot of illegal streams on Twitch, on YouTube, and so on, and these are like and social websites. Social. Yeah. These are the platforms that are out of the scope of the regulation, mostly. Yeah. So we have to spot on this right now.
Thank you. One other theme I would like to cover shortly is the advertising of gambling apps in Czech Republic. For the operators, they can compete basically on two fronts. So one is a good product, and one is a good marketing product. Czech Republic at the moment has a very light regulation of advertising, and there are very few limitations. It's basically you cannot target the minors. You need to You cannot basically present the gambling as a way of ordinary business activity by which you can earn money, and you need to include a sign that gambling may be addictive and participation of minors is prohibited. There's been a lot of talk last year about possible changes to advertising. Can you maybe tell us, Jan, Petr, about what those discussions are, and where do you think it leads? Maybe.
Yes, I can, but I don't want to take the word from my colleagues. Just briefly, yes, there was a huge discussion. It started with there was a draft of the act which said no advertising in all traditional media from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m., if I say correctly. So it meant almost like no advertising during like sports and so on, because yes, everybody can say there is too many advertising gambling spots in TV especially, and there is no such a regulation. On the other hand, there was a government made some movement, including like a big working group, including like a sector, a gambling one, and like addictologists and so on, and the state, and they are making some like recommendation. They are making it like for I think 5 months already, and the act, the draft of the act, which says the no advertising. It was not accepted by the politicians. So now we are back on the starting position, and what we do among like the big stakeholders in the Czech Republic on the gambling industry is we are trying to make some self-regulation, which will be before the need of the state regulation, which is always like more strict and severe than we can make it by ourselves. I don't want to tell you the details because it's not yet accepted, but we are working on it, especially streaming. For example, streaming the gambling itself on free social media or YouTube and so on, the Twitch, as I was mentioning. It's hard to somehow to tackle it, but we were trying to do the best. We will see. Yeah.
Maybe I will extend it for some information that it's the self-regulation is already in place, and I will stick it to the project of the responsible gambling, which is held by the Institution for Gambling Regulation, which also the Fortuna, but also other competitors are part of. And there is a codex of the responsible on the responsible gambling, and those operators who's basically signed the codex are bidden by some requirements that are already written within the codex. It's like not so strict, but there are some advertisement mechanism how to do the advertisement not so like harsh or not so tough, and do it in like a little bit in responsible gambling way.
That's great, because usually that's the way how to prevent, right? A much harsher and illogical regulation by the regulator who basically can put on paper anything, but it doesn't necessarily mean it protects the players.
I just want to put a little bit more global view on this one, because in my opinion, and in the, let's say, the metadata that we see as a provider in multiple regulated markets, is that being regulated should be the advantage of the operator to advertise openly. So the moment when you take this advantage from the operator that paid fees, that is being compliant every day, that take care of the player in a way that the regulation demands, you take this away from them, then you give the advantage to black operators right away, like exactly the moment you do this. That means that the incentive of next player coming to your market, or the current players being more compliant or even self-regulate, the motivation disappears. So in my opinion, it's a very good idea to go to a, let's say, trade union that the guys are putting together, because that shows the state and the ministry that you are not just like some wild card guys running around just trying to milk profit, but you are in long game, you want to contribute to society in some way. And if the state starts rewarding you by banning the ads, it means that there is a big disbalance there, and somebody should explain to the ministry, to the state, that this will lead to big collapse of tax. And I think they will hear when you tell them money is going out. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we are done with the time, so I would like to thank all the panelists and welcome the next panelists.
Thank you.